Hello everyone, I'm Lena. In this video, I'll be discussing the theatrical release posters from the 1975 film Jaws and the 1991 film Silence of the Lambs. I'm going to do a quick breakdown of each poster, as well as get into their individual histories and legacies, and finally, I'll compare and contrast the two. So first, let's start with Steven Spielberg's Jaws.
Jaws is based on Peter Benchley's 1974 novel of the same title. It's set in a New England tourist town and details the hunt of a great white shark responsible for a series of deaths. The theatrical release poster was designed by Tony Seiniger using the book cover that was painted by Roger Castell. The image itself went through several iterations before reaching the final product. In Seiniger's words, "We flattened that shark into a simple graphic, all about the teeth. It was the impression of trying to reduce the elements to their most graphic simplicity."
Visually, we're first drawn to the title Jaws, which is in bold red type, contrasting with a flat white background. The word is a symbol we associate with the shark itself. As we read left to right, our eye then falls to the skinny dipping woman and then to the shark below her. The composition is vertically and symmetrically balanced with these elements placed right in the center. The composition is also divided into two sections by the waterline. The bottom of the composition is proportionally larger than the top, giving emphasis to the shark. The shark itself is also proportionally larger than the woman. And overall, the woman is the smallest icon in this image, sandwiched between the shark and the title. This waterline also moves across the frame and gives a sense of vastness of space in which these figures existed. There's also unity between the triangular shape of the shark's body, its rows of teeth, and with the sharp triangular points in the type. You can most prominently see this in the descender of the J, the counter of the A, and the apex of the W. These points also aid in creating the illusion of movement, as seen in the point of the shark's body, which creates an upward thrust. This illusion is also reinforced by the texture of the bubbles around the shark's mouth, which flow downward in a random rhythm. This index acts to indicate the icon or shark's movement. The texture of the sea foam around the swimming woman is also an index for movement. So you may be asking, what's the message or the appeal? This poster is a work of commercial storytelling. The story is compressed into its most basic elements, which is that a shark is going to attack people. The shark is reduced to its basic, angular, sharp shapes to communicate a sense of danger. Its size in proportion to the woman also plays into this, since it's huge like a rocket and lurking beneath her. By giving the audience a cross-section of a moment before an unsuspecting swimmer is attacked, it feeds into our fear and our empathy. We're afraid because we can predict what will happen to her, and we can empathize with her for the same reason, in addition to us being powerless to help her. Now let's move on to the also iconic poster for Jonathan Demme's Silence of the Lambs. This poster was created by the now defunct design agency Daza. An interesting detail in this image is the icon of a skull on the death's head moth. It's not a drawing of a skull, but rather a recreation of In Voluptas Mors, or In Pleasure, Delight, Death, by Salvador Dali and photographer Philippe Halsman in 1951. In the photo, 7 nude women are arranged to form the icon of a skull. The photo was said to have been given to the agency by Jonathan Demme himself. In 2006, this poster was named the best film poster of the past 35 years, according to The Hollywood Reporter. Here we are greeted with the ghostly white visage of a woman, contrasting with the black shadow that is on her cheek, and which also fades into the background behind her. There's a grainy texture throughout the image, which juxtaposes with the icon of the moth, which does not have the same texture. The contrast in value here appears mostly around her eyes, as the rest of her features appear to fade as well. The shadows around her mouth are replaced with the shadows of the moth, which gives the effect that her mouth is missing. Her eyes are red and black, creating unity with the moth and unity with the title. The color of the moth, her eyes, and the title of the movie are complementary to the blue tone that appears in her skin. There's a vertical symmetrical balance across the whole composition as well. The emphasis here is the eyes, the moth, and the title. As mentioned before, there's also the hidden image of Voleptis mors forming the icon of the skull. The type in this poster is also entirely in lowercase. Without any context from the film, the image in this poster has a cold, eerie tone, which is heavily communicated through color and the fading of the woman's features. It appeals not only to the viewer's sense of fear or dread, but also to the viewer's intellect. We're encouraged to read deeply into the imagery by fading details into obscurity and bringing certain details into light. After viewing the film, we can associate the imagery with the themes presented to us. The woman is the heroine, Clarice Starling, played by Jodie Foster. The moth is the calling card of the killer, Buffalo Bill, and the skull perhaps has something to do with desire and femininity, or maybe even transformation. When we return to the poster after the film, we are able to gain more insight and experience it with a new perspective. Jaws changed the way the public understood sharks, and The Silence of the Lambs changed the way the public understood serial killers. After Jaws' release, there was a surge in shark hunting in North America. According to the Smithsonian Magazine, in the years following the film's release, the number of large sharks in waters east of North America declined by about 50%. Jaws had people so afraid of sharks that they thought they could be attacked in a swimming pool. The film's director, Steven Spielberg, and the author of the original book, Peter Benchley, have been quoted as regretful of the fear that they caused towards sharks. Benchley even became an ocean activist later in his career. The word Jaws has also become a symbol for large great white sharks. There's also no question about the influence of The Silence of the Lambs. One of the antagonists in the film, Hannibal Lecter, is cemented as a pop culture icon. Serial killers in film in the past have been depicted as chainsaw-wielding maniacs or silent boogeymen, whereas Lecter is depicted as intelligent, educated, and well-mannered. Audiences empathize with him because the character manipulates us into doing so. He's human, makes a connection with the protagonist, and therefore us. It makes us wonder if he could even be someone that we know. The image in the poster is also unforgettable. It underscores the film's themes of desire of femininity and desire for transformation that the other antagonist, Buffalo Bill, is experiencing. It also alludes to the main character's struggle to gain respect as a female FBI agent in a male-dominated field. In the film, we're constantly discomforted by being confronted by the male gaze, and the poster mirrors this. Only instead of a man, we're confronted by the heroine. In the film, we see her assert herself in her position and in her expertise. I love both of these films for slightly different reasons. Jaws makes me feel terror and suspense, and honestly, it gives me a good laugh. The Silence of the Lambs makes me feel suspense, but in a way that I'm unraveling a mystery with the main character. Looking at these posters gave me a fresh perspective on these movies and allowed me to look deeper into the purpose of the films themselves. And although I'm more exclusively focused on the visual language presented in these posters, I feel like it's worthwhile to analyze these in conjunction with their respective films because it enhances the experience of watching them. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.